America?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he had bad ratings more than anything else, and he said a horrible thing about a great gentleman known as Charlie Kirk. And Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech.
I don't know if you've seen, but Trump's approval ratings are the lowest for any president at this stage of his tenure in 80 years. New poll from ABC News and the Washington Post has his approval rating at only 39%.
Imagine a roast so savage, so perfectly timed, that even the cameras looked away like, nope, we're not involved in this. That's exactly what Jimmy Kimmel unleashed on Trump, a hit so brutal it left viewers stunned and the audience frozen between laughing and dialing emergency services. But just when everyone thought the chaos had peaked, something happened that flipped the entire moment on its head. Get ready, because this comedy showdown is about to get even wilder than anyone expected.
You look at the great hosts, Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, those are the greats. If you look at the not-so-greats, like Jimmy Kimmel, he was just terrible. I've watched some of the people that host. Jimmy Kimmel was horrible.
Twice.
If I can't beat out Jimmy Kimmel in terms of talent, then I don't think I should.
You think he even knows I've never hosted the Kennedy Center Honors? Maybe he's confusing me with Queen Latifah? I don't. And as far as this who has more talent thing goes, it seems like he's challenging me to a contest, which, if so, I'm open to it. Let's do it. Let's have.
Before we go any further, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. The Hollywood air hadn't even settled when Trump came crashing back into the spotlight, diving into another week of theatrical self-promotion with the energy of a man who genuinely thinks the entire universe is his personal cheer squad.
Officially upon us again. We'll be handing out awards every weekend for the next 3 months here, starting this morning with the nominees for the Golden Globes, and last night they handed out the Kennedy Center Honors in Washington, hosted by Donald Trump. Donald Trump was the host of the show. He's been boasting about hosting, saying we've never had a president host the Kennedy Center Honors before, which, yeah, why do you think that is? We've also never had Neil Patrick Harris order a military strike on a fishing boat before. Trump was obviously very excited to headline this one.
While the rest of America was just trying to decide what snack to grab, Trump loudly, and with peak trademark confidence, announced that he should have hosted the Kennedy Center Honors. Not could, should. As if the producers accidentally buried his invitation under a pile of expired coupons and forgotten mail.
Chat about his show on Netflix and to share his recipe for Christmas corn pudding, which is absolutely perfect. This is a big deal for me to be in the presence of one of my heroes. It's like when Trump gets to hang out with Kim Jong-un. You understand. Uncle Scam was in Pennsylvania tonight to outline his fiscal agenda in front of a crowd at the Mount Airy Casino Resort. And what better place to unveil your plan for the economy than a casino? Would have done it at one of his own casinos.
And because no Trump headline ever shows up without a bonus round of chaos, he made sure to declare loudly that Jimmy Kimmel was, in his view, unfit to host anything. Jimmy Kimmel, the guy who has survived live TV, award shows, monologues, and celebrity egos with more grace and precision than most people manage while folding a fitted sheet.
I'm kidding, of course. The truth is, Donald Trump is he's a very talented person. I mean, the man can sing. The man can act.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
He can dance. He does impressions.
Yeah.
He is athletic.
But Trump insisted he could outperform Jimmy with ease, even going so far as to say that if he couldn't outdo Kimmel, he shouldn't be president. A bold conclusion for a conversation literally no one else was having. It was like watching someone show up to a race uninvited, sprint alone, and still demand a gold medal. Jimmy, of course, took this glittering chunk of ego and held it up like a jeweler inspecting a diamond bought from the trunk of a car. Then came Trump's next masterpiece, claiming he was 98% responsible for choosing this year's Kennedy Center honorees. Not 80. Not 90. 98. A number so weirdly specific it felt mathematically suspicious on purpose. How a man who wasn't hosting, wasn't producing, and wasn't officially involved in anything managed to control nearly the entire selection remains one of the greatest modern mysteries, right up there with where did the other 2% go?
One of the speakers leading up to the president was State Representative Ryan McKenzie, who is best known nationally for listing his Tinder age as 29 when he was actually 37.
The president and his administration also went to work fixing all the conflicts, and he has resolved so many conflicts in a peaceable fashion that they just gave him the FIFA Peace Prize. How about that?
That's what you call a smattering of applause.
According to Trump's version of events, his influence must have floated through the airwaves, whispering patriotic suggestions into the ears of the curators like some red-hatted guardian spirit. Jimmy sliced through that fantasy with the ease of a man who's professionally trained to separate reality from whatever that was. The more Trump bragged about his behind-the-scenes involvement, the funnier it got, as if he genuinely believed the Kennedy Center staff gathered around a crystal ball each morning, waiting for his telepathic direction. But just when the comedy hit maximum speed, the universe tossed in something even more priceless: the FIFA Peace Prize. Jimmy held this up like a sacred artifact. A peace prize from FIFA, an organization best known for penalty cards, dramatic dives, and replay angles that spark global arguments. It felt less like an award and more like something that accidentally landed in the wrong mailbox. The spectacle alone generated a wave of second-hand embarrassment strong enough to make innocent bystanders look away out of S.
I have to say, Trump was so pleased. He hasn't been this happy since the day before Eric was born.
Mr. President, this is your prize. This is your Peace Prize. There is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Right now.
Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
But the diplomatic circus wasn't finished. News dropped that the Secretary of War Crimes still refused to confirm whether the double-tap strike footage would ever see daylight. The silence surrounding that video buzzed with so much tension it felt like the government had accidentally lost it behind a dusty office plant and didn't want to confess. Jimmy tore through the evasiveness with razor-edged sarcasm, transforming bureaucratic secrecy into full-blown comedy theater. The longer officials dodged the question, the funnier it became, like watching someone deny eating the last cookie while wearing a shirt covered in crumbs. Executives were suddenly rethinking their entire lives. Agents were breathing into paper bags. Whole franchises found themselves at the mercy of a platform notorious for canceling shows mid-season with the emotional warmth of a kitchen appliance.
After the speech in the Poconos, Trump swung by Gettysburg to take credit for ending the Civil War. And then it was on. Tonight's rally was one of several he has planned. The reason he's out talking about the economy is because he wants to convince us that it's good, which it isn't. But we also don't know how bad it is because they stopped reporting job numbers. It's like if the NBA just quit keeping score. We won, and we won. Everybody wins until we get tired of all the winning. The good news is Trump says his tariffs are bringing in a...
Jimmy dove into the story with absolute joy. The idea of Netflix taking command of Warner Brothers opened a buffet of satire. Superheroes binge-watching their own movies. Cartoon characters renegotiating contracts with emotionless algorithms. Studio mascots pacing nervously as the new security gates scan their outdated ID badges. But Hollywood chaos never travels alone. Trump tossed in extra drama by launching into a full-volume rant at his friend, billionaire Larry Ellison, all because Paramount dared to let Marjorie Taylor Greene appear on 60 Minutes. The outrage was instant. Trump reacted as if Ellison had personally leaked spoilers for every movie he ever loved. Watching that friendship wobble over a single TV booking felt like witnessing two generals arguing over territory in a kingdom that only exists on social media.
And then it was time for the Nobelephant in the room to take a well-deserved victory nap, one of many victory naps this week.
These two great Africans who are at the beginning, who started the Rwanda and the Nairobi processes. And beyond them, I wish to thank also all of the African leaders who contributed.
Look how sweet he is when he's sleeping, you know? Dozy Donald, get that man on...
And just when the storm of eccentricity seemed like it might finally calm, Jimmy unveiled a devastating twist with the finesse of a stage magician. His ABC contract had officially been extended until May 2027. The timing was poetic perfection. Trump had spent the entire week declaring himself the superior entertainer, the superior host, superior everything. And then Jimmy, without a hint of fanfare, confirmed he'd be staying exactly where he is for another 3 years, serving monologues and torching nonsense with that signature smirk. It was a pristine comedic moment. The news slipped into the narrative like a perfectly placed plot twist, sealing the week's chaos with velvety irony. Jimmy wove all these storylines together: the boasts, the awards, the outrage, the Hollywood mergers, the fragile billionaire friendships, the political dodging, and turned them into a comedic tapestry that flowed with effortless rhythm. Each transition felt like flipping to the next chapter of a storybook written by a council of chaos-loving gremlins. And through it all, Trump's larger-than-life energy acted like rocket fuel, blasting every segment into a higher comedic orbit.
How low his imaginary prices are now, and out of nowhere took shots at the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois.
The mayor was a low IQ person. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I mean, seriously, though. He says.
At this point, Jimmy wasn't just mocking Trump's claims, he was weaving them into a full-blown narrative. A narrative where Trump's self-proclaimed talents sparkled like stage props in a magic act held together entirely by misdirection. The more dramatic Trump became, the more Jimmy amplified the spectacle, turning the monologue into a satirical marathon that never lost momentum. The FIFA Peace Prize morphed into a symbol of achievements that didn't quite match the resume. The hidden strike footage became a running gag about government secrecy. The Netflix-Warner Brothers merger transformed into a playground of corporate absurdity. And the Larry Ellison feud evolved into a billionaire breakup scene begging for mood lighting and dramatic music. Jimmy handled Trump's extravagant declarations with the same blend of disbelief and amusement a parent uses when a kid insists they personally constructed the moon. By the time the monologue reached its final beat, the comedic engine was roaring at full power. Trump's week of declarations, boasts, awards, frustrations, and unsolicited self-coronation had created a comedic wonderland too rich to ignore. Jimmy captured the chaos, sharpened it, and delivered punchlines that landed with the explosive subtlety of a confetti cannon.
The good news is the Lincoln bathroom has a walk-in tub. So this is interesting. These are the states that will be hit the hardest. The top 10 all red states: Mississippi, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, West Virginia, Alabama, Kansas, Louisiana, and Montana. We're going from Obamacare to Trump doesn't, and people don't realize it. This is so crazy. Of all the things, I think this one might be the hardest to understand. How long has Trump been claiming to have a plan?
And as the saga unfolded, the story refused to close. It kept stretching, expanding, building itself into the next chapter. With Trump, the headlines never stop. The drama never sleeps. And the next wave of comedic fuel waits just beyond tomorrow's news cycle, ready to launch Jimmy and everyone watching into the next explosion of satire. The chaos didn't just linger. No, it sprouted legs, down an energy drink, and sprinted straight into the next absurd headline waiting to be roasted. The momentum was unstoppable. Trump kept delivering material like a buffet chef who forgot the restaurant closed 3 hours ago. He insisted, once again, that his talents should place him leagues above Jimmy Kimmel, as if the entire entertainment world had been holding its breath, waiting for him to storm the award show stage and reinvent hosting forever. If the Kennedy Center staff suddenly turned to see Trump standing there with a microphone, they'd probably assume it was an elaborate prank. But Trump acted as if it were destiny unfulfilled, insisting the honors event had somehow cheated itself out of greatness.
Already indicates a vivid imagination, but does he really look at himself in the mirror and go, I am thin? I am so thin, I can comment on others who aren't.
So Governor Pritzker, if you're listening, let's get your act together. Invite us in. I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I was going to talk about Pritzker and size, but when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little joke.
Meanwhile, Jimmy leaned fully into it, turning Trump's self-proclaimed multi-talented persona into a running comedic theme. Every time Trump opened his mouth, his resume seemed to grow longer. 1 minute he was a master entertainer. The next, a visionary curator selecting honorees through astral projection. And before anyone could blink, he was proudly accepting awards that felt like they were designed by committees with no clear objectives. Every time Trump polished his metaphorical trophy case, a new joke practically wrote itself. The FIFA Peace Prize quickly became Jimmy's favorite symbol of the week. The more Trump flaunted it, the funnier it got. As he waved it around, comedic potential practically radiated off it, as if the trophy itself whispered, "Use me. I am chaos incarnate." Meanwhile, the political subplot of the unreleased strike footage simmered quietly in the background, like a pot someone kept forgetting on the stove. The Secretary of War Crimes continued dodging questions, creating tension so thick it could almost have been bottled and sold.
Plan for the roof. Imagine that this went on and on for 10 years, going on 11 now. You'd strangle that person, right? This is exactly what Trump has been doing with health care.
We have no choice but to absolutely replace Obamacare, and we're going to come up with a much better plan.
We're coming out with a health care plan that I think will be terrific.
We're going to have a plan that is so much better than Obamacare. Secretary Alex Acosta just came up.
The momentum only grew stronger. Jimmy mined humor from the evasiveness, turning government secrecy into a full-blown hide-and-seek competition, one where the prized footage remained undefeated year after year. The refusal to release it only heightened the absurdity, as if the video were a mythical artifact lost somewhere between bureaucracy and stubborn denial. Hollywood, naturally, kept adding fuel to the fire. The Netflix-Warner Brothers merger shook the entertainment world like a snow globe mid-toddler tantrum. Changes happened so fast that producers probably woke up every morning unsure which company actually employed them. Jimmy rode that chaos like a seasoned surfer, perfectly attuned to the industry's most ridiculous plot twists. Meanwhile, the billionaire feud continued dominating headlines, dripping with melodrama usually reserved for season finales. Trump's outrage over a single 60 Minutes interview had blossomed into a saga of betrayal, disappointment, and full-on theatrical indignation. Jimmy highlighted the absurdity with effortless sarcasm, framing Trump as if he believed Ellison's programming choice was a personal attack meticulously plotted under the cover of night. All it needed was dramatic music and a slow zoom to complete the scene.
He's a fat slob. I don't mention it.
I don't know if that's sarcasm or short-term memory loss. Either way, he really captures the spirit of Thanksgiving. And then the president pardoned the birds as only he can.
It looks like a rather violent bird. It's hard to play. Anyway, are you ready? Beautiful. That's nice. You are hereby unconditionally.
The audience rode every twist of the story, swept up in a whirlwind of ego, corporate chaos, and political smokescreens. And Jimmy's ABC contract extension hovered above it all like a glittering trophy of perfect timing. Trump had spent days inflating his own talents, claiming he could outshine Jimmy in every arena, only for Jimmy to quietly secure 3 more years on national television, showing no signs of slowing down. The irony practically played itself like a symphony. Trump bragged about surpassing him, and Jimmy responded by staying exactly where millions watch him night after night, honing monologues as sharp as surgical blades. The beauty was in the escalation. Trump's claims fueled Jimmy's humor. Jimmy's humor fueled the headlines. And the headlines fueled the comedic cycle itself. Jimmy let the stories breathe, stretch, and intertwine, transforming the monologue into a living organism powered by mockery and momentum. Trump's Kennedy Center conspiracy slid seamlessly into the FIFA trophy saga. The trophy saga glided into the Hollywood takeover. The Hollywood takeover flowed straight into political secrecy. And just when it seemed the story might wind down, the Ellison feud flared back to life like sparks in dry grass.
Old days. One of the Democrats Trump's going after is Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. The Pentagon is threatening to investigate and even court-martial him for this video. Mark Kelly was a captain in the Navy. He flew 39 combat missions over Iraq and Kuwait. He's a former astronaut, which, I mean, if Trump starts going after our astronauts, who's next? Lawrence Sanchez, Katy Perry? Where does it end? Mark Kelly is here with us tonight. We're going to discuss this.
The rhythm stayed razor-sharp, the pacing never wavered, and the satire sliced through the week's chaos with surgical precision. Every line carried momentum, every transition landed cleanly, and every punchline folded effortlessly into the next. Trump remained at the eye of the storm, his name echoing through each segment as the catalyst for every twist, every eruption of irony, every comedic avalanche rolling across the monologue. His week of declarations, awards, grievances, and theatrical frustrations created the perfect late-night playground one Jimmy explored with relentless enthusiasm, as if each headline were a new ride at a theme park dedicated entirely to exaggerated self-importance. The stories didn't just coexist, they fed off each other, compounding the absurdity until the entire sequence felt like a crescendo orchestrated by chaos itself. It waited for the next outburst, the next dramatic announcement, the next unmistakably Trump moment dropping into the news cycle like a bowling ball in a kiddie pool. Whatever headline came next was guaranteed to fuel the fire, expanding the narrative and evolving into another unforgettable chapter in the ongoing collision between Trump's ego and the world's collective patience, a saga showing no signs of slowing.